Everybody, good evening. Hello to the brave souls in the classroom. Thanks for showing up. It's nice to have some people who are live, and we've got a bunch of people who are remote too. Remember, for most of the classes, either mode of attendance is perfectly fine. Um, will be a couple of times when I'm going to ask that everybody be here on campus, but otherwise, feel free to attend in the mode that works best for you. And I realize that for some people, being here in person works best. So, our goal here is to make sure that we have the most optimal learning environment that we can, realizing that sometimes some of the activities require us all to be here. So here we are in the second session of the Joy of Coding here at Portland State University. And last time we got an introduction to Git. We created a GitHub repository that we'll be using for our projects this term. We're going to start using that repository tonight in an exploration of the Java programming language. And I'm really looking forward to that. But before we begin, I always start class with sort of an Ask Me Anything session called Prime Minister's Questions. So is there anything on your mind? Anything maybe left over from Monday that you're curious about? Either about the class or about Git or what we're going to be doing this term that I can answer for you. Give folks a moment to post in the chat if anybody's got questions in the chat. Okay. Cool. That's good. Well, just as a reminder, I'm here for you. So as things pop into your mind that you want to discuss, either something that doesn't make sense, something you want to explore a little bit longer, something you'd like me to repeat, I'm happy to do that. But tonight we are going to focus on the Java programming language, and we were just talking before class about how it's actually kind of nice to have 2 sessions of class a week. I've always taught this course in these big, long chunks, and I have to admit, having smaller class sizes, smaller class sessions, allows me to have these nice focus, more of an agenda of what we're doing. And this means that we get to, tonight we get to dive into the details of the Java programming language, which is great. I haven't had a chance to actually, not so much lecture about Java, but sort of like just talk about the language, talk about how to work with it, what some of the syntax is, and some of the concepts and philosophies behind the language. So let's just dive right in with that tonight. So I hope you had an opportunity to either look through the slides that talk about the Java programming language, or watch the videos, the screencasts about Java. I know that a number of you have seen the language before, maybe like 2 weeks in one of your lower division courses. And so maybe some things are familiar, but probably not at the top of your mind, or at your fingertips. You've gotten a little bit rusty. So tonight we're going to get experience working with Java by doing an exercise and beginning really this first assignment in the course, which are called the Java Koans. So a koan is a teaching question that's used in Buddhist discourse. Now, to be fair, this is like an analogy. We won't be talking about the sound of one hand clapping or anything like that, or trying to implement a one clapping hand in Java. But the whole idea is that we're learning about the Java language in these really small chunks, so that we can explore a particular aspect of the syntax of a library call, so that we can get some deep insight into what it's all about to program in Java. So sometimes the questions, sometimes the koans are quite straightforward, and sometimes they might be a little tricky. And so again, it's meant to help you explore Java and the language. These koans do have correct questions. no, sorry, you do have correct answers. There is a right and a wrong here, but the whole idea is that you're not just trying to get to the end. You're not just trying to like find the answer. You're meant to work with the language to understand what it is to really get the deeper meaning. So this first assignment and what we're going to be working through tonight is a Java project that has a whole bunch of these koans in it, and uh, each one is it's a little snippet of code that will ask you to sort of fill in the blank. And you'll come up with an answer to what it's trying to tell you, and then really understand why. And so what we're going to do tonight is we're going to get all set up for the project. So those of you who who are playing along at home, we will create the project. We'll see a bunch of IntelliJ, so we won't get. It'll take us a few minutes to get to the Java part of it. But then we'll spend most of the class tonight working together to explore the answers to these little koans in there, and then I think that'll get us a nice ways into it. And then the rest of the koans are for you all to do on your own individually as part of your first assignment. And just this assignment is due July 10th, which is what, 2 weeks from tonight? Yeah. I just want to call out Matt Bentley, who really started all of this stuff. I essentially forked his repository and integrated it into the course. Really great stuff. So let's get started. So let's go to our checkout of our, here. Let's go to our checkout of our summer 2024 repository. Oops. Now, this is the repository that we created last time. We ran the survey program that creates that little me.xml file. And as I mentioned, it has a bunch of scripts in it that are used for creating the project. The scripts can only be run on the CS department machines. So I am going to log in to the CS department's machine. Now over here, I'm going to go to, here it is, the summer 2024 directory. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to execute the create Koans script. What this will do is here in the checkout, it uses a tool called Maven. Now, Maven is something we'll learn about in a couple of weeks in detail. But the whole idea is that Maven is used to build Java projects. And one of the things that we use Maven for in the course is to get us started, bootstrap a Java project. It saves you having to learn a whole bunch of Maven stuff on day one, and then also create a bunch of files. So I ran the script. It does all this magical Maven stuff for you, and it creates a directory called Koans. Oops. Jeez. So if I do a git status, you'll see, so a git status is a command that shows you what has changed since your last commit to Git. And so it said there's a modified file called palm.xml, and that there is an unknown or untracked file called koans. And this is a directory that contains a whole bunch of source code and things. So I will add the koans directory to Git. And now when I do a git status, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm not going to go into the details of all of this stuff, but there's some, there's some configuration files. There's this mvmw script. Actually, that's a pretty important thing. That's what runs Maven to build your projects. And don't worry, we'll see all of this shortly. There's a palm.xml file, which is another Maven thing. This configures the project. Not something you need to worry about right now. We'll learn about that in a couple of weeks. But more importantly, there are a bunch of .java files. So these are the source code for all of the koans. And we'll see what all these are in a little bit, but there are a bunch of them. So I've added the koans directory to Git. And now I will add the pom.xml to Git also. I've got a whole bunch of stuff here now. And remember, I'm doing this on the PSU machine because that's where the scripts can be run. And I think someone asked, hey, why only shell scripts? And it's because I don't want to have to support like command, .cmd files on Windows, and someone wants to use PowerShell, or like, oh, I'm using, some, different Unix shell on my, on my homegrown Linux machine. Sorry, I'm trying to keep it easy, mainly for me, and consistent for all of you. So just to reiterate, go to the checkout that you have on your PSU machine of the repository, the Git repository that you made for this course. Run the create Koan script that will create a bunch of files. Add them to GitHub, which I guess isn't called out in the assignment, and then commit them. So we'll say added Koan project. That puts them in GitHub, and so then there's no more changes for Git status. And now it says, oh yeah, your branch is ahead of origin/main. So if you look on GitHub, and let me just go over to GitHub real quick. So here's my repository on GitHub. It hasn't changed for 2 days because I made a change here locally on the PSU machine, but now I need to push it up to GitHub with git push. And there we go. Oh, looks like there was a question that came in on chat. Lots of questions. Okay, good. So thanks for asking. Okay, question. What did you name the commit? Name the commit. What commit message did I use? I'm not too sure what question that means. Yes, okay. It doesn't really matter. It's a description of the of whatever it is you did. I just said git commit -m. -m is the message that's associated with the commit. I just said add Koan's project. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to look at your Git history to assess the quality of your commit messages or anything like that. Okay, we've got someone who. Oh yeah. Sorry, it should be create Koan's project. Oh, it looks like the is the assignment incorrect? It very well may be create Koan's, and it's probably I think you're right. It's create Koan's project. Yes, you are correct. I will. I'll make myself a note. Could you DM me in Slack, Lewis, and remind me of that? I will fix that later tonight when I get home. Appreciate that. Awesome. Okay. So I just want to pause here to do a check for anybody who's playing along. Sounds like there are some people who are doing it remotely. Everybody here in the room, if you're playing along, any questions or anything? Yeah. Yep. Yes. Okay. I'll get to that in a moment. Bottom line is a warning. It's not really a problem. It's something he's complaining about, and I'll talk about how to fix that because we can do that. And we got time tonight. Good. Okay. So it's a good point. I guess before we leave the PSU environment, let's run the Koans. So okay, the Koans. Well, let's just make sure it works by running maven w exec java. This will build the project, and then it runs a little program that tells you where you are with the Koans. And it should look like this. It's a bunch of text. And once I get off of the PSU machine and onto my local machine, I'll tell you what all of this means. But you should see something like this. It starts out with a little message that says you need to open a file, and then it gives you your progress towards all of that. Oh, okay. Puya says, okay, they're having a problem. Says could not load login ID from me.xml. Pooja, do you have a me.xml file? Well, I don't know. Why don't we check? So if you ran, so did you run the survey program yet? So when you run the survey program, and this is in the top level of your checkout, you should have a me.xml file. So like here's my me.xml, and it has things like my username, which is Whitlock. Not yet. That might be it. That would definitely be it. So, right, you have to run the survey program before you can create any projects because the project creation scripts actually use the me.xml file to get your login ID, so that way it's always consistent. Yeah, sure. It's right here in the assignment. It is. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Sorry, I call it Maven W. Um, okay. Uh, so yeah, the exec command was dot slash. Sorry, I pronounce MVNW as Maven W. Sorry, that's the command for invoking the Maven wrapper. And then you say exec colon Java, which tells Maven run the main Java program of the project. And oops, you got to do it in the Koans directory too. And so now we can run Maven exec Java. And you should see some output like this. Someone also asked, what was the git add command that you used? Sure, I will just say history.grep git add. So here are so I did git add Koans, and that adds everything in the Koans directory, and then I did git add palm. The test to make sure you've added everything is that if you do a git status, you should see that there is, what does it say, working tree clean, that there are no local changes to your Git repository. Thank you for asking questions. It's really important to me that we go at a pace that makes sense for you. Yeah, you can go back and watch the recording and everything like that, but I think I'd rather have you get this stuff in real time. Okay. Okay, everybody feeling kind of caught up, ready to move on to something else? Okay, good. So what you've done so far is that you've logged into the PSU machine, you have gone to the checkout of your GitHub repository, you've run the create Koans project script, and you've added the generated files in the Koans directory in the modified top-level pom.xml to Git, committed it, push it to GitHub. And actually, yes, if we go and look at GitHub, we now have, if I reload the page here, we now see, yep, the last commit was 7 minutes ago, added the Koans project, and sure enough, here are the Koans. So, okay, so the code has been pushed up to GitHub. So I'm done with the PSU machine for now. So I logged out. And now here I am in my local machine's checkout. And if I do a git pull, this will pull down all of the changes that I just checked in. As you can see, it just created a whole bunch of new files. These are all of the Koans files. And I can check to make sure that I got that I'm at the most recent revision by typing git log, and then I pipe it into less so that I get nice paging, although it doesn't really need it, I guess. So you can see I've made 3 commits to this repository so far. I've created it. I added the me.xml on Monday. And now I've added the Koans project tonight on Wednesday. Okay. Now I've got all of that. So now I've created the source code for my Koans project. Now I want to edit it. So you can, no, for this course, you can use any text editor that you want to edit the source code. However, part of contemporary software development is using tools that are powerful to help you go fast and reduce your cognitive load. And for that, I like to use IntelliJ. So IntelliJ is it's a piece of professional software, an integrated development environment, an IDE for for developing. Well, IntelliJ is like their Java ecosystem thing. It's made by a company called JetBrains. They have a lot of IDEs and developer tools, and they make them available for free to people who have educational, have like an email account with a university or other educational student. So I encourage you to visit this link, which is on the homepage, to get your academic license. That will give you basically unfettered access to everything in the professional edition of IntelliJ, plus a lot more that you could use, I don't know, for this class, but for other classes. So then, yeah. So big fan of IntelliJ, and so you can go and download it. I don't know, probably hear from, yeah, here we go. Yeah, IntelliJ idea. I'll just post this in the Slack. So I encourage you to download it. It's not terribly small, but I think your bandwidth can probably handle it. Run through the installation process, which is super easy, and you can be up and running with that. I already have it installed and am running it, but however, I don't have. I'm going to close out these other projects that I have open. Okay, here you go. Oh, okay. And by the way, I've been using IntelliJ for a super long time, and when you see my IDE, there are some legacy settings, things that I've enabled, and things that like I reverted back because I didn't like the new way of doing things, set my ways. And so what you see here might be a little different from what you see. And probably the biggest thing is that, I don't know, I have old eyes. I need light mode. I need that high contrast. Like dark mode, I just can't see anymore. Probably never could. So you're going to see it in light mode. There might be some other things about how the icons are laid out that might be a little different too. But it's all the same software. It's just got a slightly different feel to it. So once, let's see, are people like installing IntelliJ right now? So I can give you a couple more minutes like to catch up, but if not, I'll just move on. Okay, and actually let me get the chat back up in case anybody's chatting me. Okay, no, they're not. Cool. Okay, so when you first open IntelliJ, you'll see a screen kind of like this. I've got a whole bunch of existing projects open. Let's see here. You've already made a checkout of your source code. So what we're going to do is you've got source code out there. And like I said, the source code, the Java code in this class uses this tool called Maven to build it. We'll learn about all the details in a couple of weeks. The whole idea is that Maven specifies, Maven is used to do everything you need to do with your application. It'll compile the source code. It will run your unit tests. It will assemble what are called jar files, which are like sort of the closest thing there is like to an executable that you pass around in Java. It will run more complex integration tests. It has all these plugins. It can run reports and generate things. We're going to be seeing it later in the course. But I think for tonight, the important thing to know is that IntelliJ knows about Maven, and IntelliJ knows how to configure itself so that it can work with a Maven project. So what you're going to do is you're going to open an existing project, which will be the checkout of your Joy of Coding Summer 2024 repository. So go to the location on your local machine where your checkout lives, select that directory, and click open. So what this will do is it will open the source code in IntelliJ. And so this is IntelliJ. So the whole idea is you've got, I don't know, 3 main components. I guess you get stuff over on the side too. But over here on the left, you have various navigation for all of the files in the project. You can change views with this. Right now, you've got what's called the project view, which is what I like. This looks a little bit like how the project looks on disk as far as the layout of the directories and the files and stuff. but it's kind of smart when it comes to displaying Java classes, and I prefer project view. Over on the right, in sort of the main view, is is a file that you're editing. So again, it's an IDE. Mainly, you're editing the source code. Right now, it's looking at the README file for the repository. And then down here at the bottom, there are various windows that you can choose that show some sort of operation that you're performing, or some additional information about the project that you're doing. And to be clear, the project that you're looking at here is all of the source code for the class. So this is, again, your repository, and you have a Koans project within it. You know it's a project because the Koans is bold right there. So Maven has these nested projects. We'll learn about it later, but the most important one for tonight is Koans. You can feel free to explore all the awesome stuff that's here in IntelliJ. It has nice support for Git in terms of, you can look at the history, you can search things. Only 3 revisions, it's not a lot to look at right now. But as you make more commits, you can explore that. Some people like the terminal that comes with it. I'm not a big fan. I'm probably just old school. Let's go back to like the terminal that I know and trust. But anyway, all sorts of great stuff down there. And when we do things like run unit tests, you'll see the results. But that's the conversation for next week. So here we are looking at the source code in IntelliJ. And we've got our Koans projects right here. And if we look in the source directory, we see that there are all of these what are called Java packages with various pieces of source code. So we're going to initially be looking at classes in the beginner directory. So this is IntelliJ. This is a tool that helps you navigate your source code. There are lots of menus and lots of keyboard shortcuts, and we'll be exploring that over the coming weeks. Tonight, I'll try to be gentle when it comes to the navigation shortcuts. Oh, was there something else here? Oh, great. Oh, look at that. Hey, thanks, Sam. Okay. Now we're going back to the terminal. We are over here in the checkout of our source code. We're going to go to the Koans directory. And we're going to run that Maven command, again, that was in the assignment. We're going to run maven w exec java. Now, this invokes the Maven tool. The Maven wrapper will invoke the Maven tool and say, hey, run the main program of the project. That's what exec java does. So it is, yep, right there. Now we're going to take a look at what the output of this project. Now it says, the whole idea is that the output over here from running the main program for the Koans is that it's giving you advice on what to do with the Koans. So it says, you need to open the file, and it gives you a big old file name that ends in aboutkoans.java. So actually this is, here I'm looking at the checkout of my repository in the Koans directory, source beginner about Koans. Okay, let's go find that in IntelliJ. So about Koans. So here we are, the root of our project, the Koans directory, Koans, source beginner, about Koans. Okay, about Koans right here. Now, note here that IntelliJ is saying that it's not about Koans.java, it's a class, because it has a little C icon next to it, called about Koans. So I'm going to double click on that to view the source code. And here it is. This is Java source code. So it might look a little familiar to you. Every Java class is in a package. Here's the declaration of the class. And it's got some methods in it. It has a method called findAboutKoans file and definition of Koan completion. It's got these annotations that say this method is a Koan. And then IntelliJ adds some stuff like it says who changed the line of code. That's kind of nice. And it's telling you that this method is not used by anybody else. Okay, that's fine for now. Okay, well, we found it. Let's see here. There should be a method starting with @koan called find about koans file. Yep, there it is right there. Look within it for your first lesson. Once you have solved that, save the file and check back for your next lesson. Okay, so then it says, ponder what's going wrong in the about koans class find about koans file method. 911 may offer a clue as to how you may progress. Now make haste. Okay. Let's take a look at this code, this little method right here called find about koans file. Well, what does it do? It says fail. Now this is calling a method called fail, which is imported from this assert class. Okay, whatever. It's saying fail, delete this line to advance. So it's giving you a clue as what to do. What should we do? Delete the line. Okay, great. Yep. Delete the line. I'm going to delete that line. I'm just going to replace it with return so it still looks the same. Okay, I deleted the line. And now I'm going to go back to the command line, go back to the terminal. And what ends up happening is this little program detects the file was changed. When you navigate away from IntelliJ, it automatically saves the file. The program detects the file has changed, and now it outputs something different. It's now, it's your progress increased. I went from 0 out of 269 koans to 1. So that means we passed the first koan. Yay, we followed the instructions. Okay. Now it's telling us something else. A koan is considered complete when it no longer throws an exception. Often, there's more than one way to solve a koan, but only one correct way. This is often hinted at within the koan itself or the comments appearing here. And so now it's saying, ponder what's wrong in the about koans class definition of a koan completion method. Line 18 may offer a clue as how you may progress. Not my case. Okay. Well, let's go back to IntelliJ, and let's look at this this method right here. Definition of koan completion. So it says, okay, koan is complete is false, and if not, koan is complete, then fail with what if koan complete variable was true? Question, yes. Yes. Oh, really? Save here. Okay. Well, I think you can do a save all, like with a Command S or Control S, but also, let's see, I'm a big fan of having it automatically save. So I wonder if, let's see here. Okay, yep, Andrew, I'll get to your question in a second. Let's look at the, where are settings these days? Preferences. So, and they might be different on Windows than Mac. So I'm pretty sure that I have autosave enabled, knowing me. So let's see, if I search for save, what do I get? System settings. Oh, here we go. Okay, so under autosave, so I went to the preferences for the application. So that's Command, comma on Mac, and I'm pretty sure the keyboard shortcut. Oh, is it Control comma? Is it like Control semicolon or something? Sorry, I don't remember. It's been a while. And you might be able to navigate it. Well, maybe not so much from there. But here under System Settings, there is an autosave. And I have the save files when switching to a different application or built-in terminal option set. Do other people see that in their, something similar in their settings? Yes? Yep, yeah. Nope, you leave it running. So you leave the program running in the terminal. It'll just sit there and automatically, it'll detect when the file has changed. It's usually pretty fast if you've saved it. So if you go to IntelliJ and maybe and do the save all with Command S or Control S. Oh, I didn't find it. Interesting. Okay. Well, restart the Control C, or actually, what, you hit Q or something? Yeah, try that again. Okay, that's interesting. It's let's see here. I can't. Are those Macs or are those? Those are both Mac. What? Windows? Okay. Okay, and you're both on that. Interesting. Okay. Okay, and that might be okay. So, so you're seeing some messages about unresolved plugins, and as an IntelliJ, I assume. That might be all right. Um, yes, that'll be all right. Yeah, don't worry about unresolved plugins for now. We'll get to that in a couple of weeks when we talk about continuous integration. Um, I think you'll be okay. Ah, so okay, no, this is good. Let's take a minute and see uh, what might be going on here. So what we're working on right now is that a couple people here in class, and maybe some of you who are remote also, you've made the change in IntelliJ, but when you go back to the terminal, it's not there. So what I'd like you to do is do a git status to see if the file has actually changed. So when I do a git status in my environment, I see that the source beginner about koans file has changed. Okay, good. So that probably means that for whatever reason, things weren't saved in IntelliJ. So if you do a file save all, does that save the file out to disk? Yeah, really. Okay, but did you see that you had one koan passing? Okay, and you did the save all? So apparently, so it could be so it appears that IntelliJ isn't saving your change, which is unusual. Um, yeah. Well, and if you look on, if you open up the file in a different, in a different way, so I'm just going to less it. I see that my find about koans file uh, method is empty here. So I'm pretty confident that mine has been written out to disk. Now, when you all look, yeah, using less or open it up in I don't know, Notepad on Windows or whatever one does these days. Um, that's interesting. I don't ever recall IntelliJ not saving before. Now, stranger things have happened. It could be a bug in IntelliJ, but that seems like a super weird one. While you're all working through that, there are a couple other questions that have come in. So one here saying, IntelliJ is saying that Project JDK is not defined and gives me a few options, Oracle, SAP, etc. Did I do something wrong in setup, or is there a particular one I should pick? I don't think you did anything wrong in setup. You just need to choose one. So let's see here. If you installed choose the JDK that you want, probably the most recent one. So if you got like a 21 or 22 or something like that, feel free to do that. So yeah, people who have asked that question, and I think you do well. It's pretty good at IntelliJ is pretty good at giving you the options. But I think in project structure, this is where you can choose the SDK. I guess I'm using Java 17. That's neat. Okay, which I think yeah makes sense for this code base. And let's see here. Another question came in. Running it through IntelliJ Remote to the school servers, I have to interact with the terminal, like hitting space or enter for it to reload in advance after saving. Okay. Thanks. Good to know. Thanks for sharing that. Just to be clear, you don't have to run it remotely from the school servers. I encourage you actually to run everything remotely on your own machine. It's just more robust that way. It's faster. And then use Git to transfer your code back and forth between the school machines. So are the folks that yeah were that were are having problems saving in IntelliJ? It looks like you're still having problems saving in IntelliJ. Oh, interesting. So yeah, so your experience is that yeah, it appeared to work like mine did. That's really odd. So, huh. You might also want to try reloading all from disk. That'll sort of sync things up, and you might lose that change. And don't worry, it's only one line. It's not a big deal. Hmm. Here's something else that we can. I'm kind of curious about. So for let's troubleshoot the issues that people are having saving things a little bit more. So, oh, just a quick question. Can you remind me if we need to use IntelliJ or we can use any IDE of our choice? Go ahead and use any IDE or text editor that you want. I'm only going to help you with IntelliJ though. So if you're coming to me, it's like, oh, I configured like this Vim plugin. I'm going to be like, you're on your own. Um, but yeah. And let's see here. People running, or someone's running exec Java and Koan file, but don't see any new files from source. That seems to be what people in the classroom are seeing too. Got some warnings. The warnings that you're seeing, Lewis, are most likely not a problem. Uh, yep. Okay. Well, okay, and just to be okay. So yeah, I don't understand why this isn't working for people. That's really unusual. Haven't experienced that before. Okay. And also another question, I need to configure IntelliJ to work with Linux server. For now, I'm using Vim on the servers and edit the Java file, and now it is working. Okay, that's good to know. But just to be clear, I think the most optimal development environment is to run IntelliJ locally, but if you don't have a machine that you can run IntelliJ on, or if you just want to try it on the Linux servers, you can certainly do that as long as it works for you. Okay. So, any luck so far? Okay, so you've got yours to work, but yours is still. Ah, okay, right. Still running it on the Linux server, and it was just but the terminal looked the same. Oh, what is it saying? Okay, and have you so it can't find Java Home in your local environment. Did you install a JDK in your local environment? Okay, so that'll be the next step. So I'll show you how to do that. We touched on it briefly last time. It's okay. Yep. So yeah, you have to have Java installed first in your local environment. And so if you go to the README here in the repository, let's see here. How do I use the Java development kit? So it's this section here. I'm just going to copy this and post it in the Slack. Actually, you probably want this one. How do I install the JDK on my personal machine? And yep. This is all good. So this is just all getting started and getting things ready for this. So okay, good. Looks like we've figured out the. Did you get the IntelliJ thing working where you can save it now? Okay. No, yeah. And maybe we can troubleshoot it during our break or something. Okay. So over here, okay. So I'm going to run the Maven W exec Java program again. So this runs the koans. This is the thing that evaluates the koans. It's told me I've done 1 out of 269. And now let's return to IntelliJ and look at this next koan, which is failing, which is definition of koan completion. So again, we have a variable. So in Java, this is a variable whose name is koan is complete. It's a type Boolean. Its value is false. And now we have the logic. If not koan is complete, then we're going to fail saying what if koan complete variable is true. So what should we do in this case to make the koan pass? We could get rid of not. Yep. You could change koan is complete to true. I think either one of those would work. And yeah, in chat, what do people say? True instead of false value. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's say koan is complete. Yeah, the koan is complete equals true. Now let's go to this. It's reloading it again. And now we've successfully completed 2 out of the 269 koans. Okay. This is like training wheels. This is getting warmed up, but this is the whole idea of these koans. You read a tiny little bit of code, right? 3, 4 lines. You figure out what it's trying to tell you, because it starts out in a state where it is failing, where something doesn't work, and then you make it work, and hopefully you learn something along the way. So we now have 2 koans that are passing, and as we pointed out, if we look at get status, we have 1 modified file. Now, for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to commit this file in. Now, I could commit this file on the command line by saying, git commit -m whatever, and then I can, say source beginner about koans, which is nice, and it will work. Everything will be fine. However, when I'm working in IntelliJ, IntelliJ has great support for Git and for working with source code management. So I'm going to show you how to commit changes through IntelliJ. So over here on the left, there is a left-hand tab called Commit. And this gives you a list of all the files that you've changed or added in your project. So IntelliJ knows what files have been modified. Modifications show up in blue. So here, the name of the file, because it's modified, shows up in blue. And over here in the IDE itself, in the file editor, the lines that have changed have a little blue bar over here in the gutter. And when you click on that blue bar, it'll show you the previous value of what that line was. So this is a good way where you can see what code has changed, and you can also see see what the change was. And you have a couple of options, like you can navigate to the next one. You can also revert the change. You'll roll back the lines of the change. And then what is this one? Show diff for lines. Oh, you can dive into it. You get a little context diff. So for this one, it's a pretty easy change. But when you have bigger changes, this is a really nice feature. So again, IntelliJ has really great support for this. You can commit your changes by selecting them here in the commit panel. You can add a message like completed our first 2 koans. And then you can commit to the repository, or I like to commit and push from GitHub. And I have, commit from IntelliJ and push it to GitHub. It's giving me a couple of warnings because, I don't know, probably, yeah, these are probably methods that aren't used or something like that. I'm going to commit and push anyway. And now it's giving me a dialog that says, hey, it's done the commit to the local repository, and now it's pushing to Origin. And so you can push that up. And now I can see that I no longer have any changes in my local repository. And if I go up to GitHub and I refresh the page, oops, we now have a commit that was made right now with our message completed our first 2 koans, which is what we put into the commit dialog or the commit section in GitHub. Sorry, in IntelliJ. Okay. I'm going to pause for questions about what we've done so far with the Koans, with IntelliJ, with editing things, before we keep going. Well, it looks like Sam's kind of going ahead of us. We'll get there shortly. Thanks for talking about the integer method. Oh, sorry, the error that you're seeing, yeah, either that or these warnings up here. So IntelliJ will give you all sorts of warnings, basically saying oh, find about Koan's file is never used. That's really not a problem, but it's warning you about it anyway. So just like any tool, it only it can only tell you so much. Okay. Let's go back to the koans. and run them again. Okay, now we are working on a new one. Let's see here. The dash dash are an attempt to communicate the need to fill in an answer. So it's kind of like filling in the blank. Judging by context, what should underbar be replaced with? Ponder what's going wrong in the about assertion class's assert Boolean true method. Okay, line 13 may offer clues to how you may progress. Now make haste. What went wrong? Expected true, but was replace me. Okay, let's look at about assertions, assert Boolean true. Now right here I'm looking at the about Koans class. We can navigate to other classes by going back to the project view. And I believe it was about assertions. Yes, about assertions is what we're looking for. So here it is in the beginner package. And here we go. This is another class with another bunch of koans. The first one is called assert Boolean true. Okay? So there's a little comment saying there are two possibilities, true or false. What would it be here? So we are calling a method called assert true. It's taking some argument. We're supposed to replace these two underbars with an answer, something that will make this cone pass. Koan pass. What should we put there? True. That makes sense. Okay. Reloading again. Great. Now we are at 3, so that one passed. Now we're looking at assert Boolean false. Okay, assert Boolean false. Oh, looks like IntelliJ has collapsed that. Okay, assert false. So what should we put here? False. Oh, and sorry, you see, I don't know if you noticed what I did there. I started typing I started typing false, and IntelliJ assisted me by providing me by prompting me with certain things that certain methods, or in this case, constant. Oops, let's keyboard focus. That that could fit there. I typed FA, and then I hit Tab to complete what I was saying. And note that when I use a keyboard shortcut in IntelliJ, I get a little green pop-up down at the bottom telling me, actually telling all of you what key I pressed. So it said that's the Tab symbol right there. And that's a cue to you who are watching to say, oh, this is the keyboard shortcut that I used. Oops, all sorts of things just blew up right there. Okay, great. We've got another one done. Now we're at 4 out of 269. Okay, let's keep going. So what this is the about assertions. And so this is introducing us to all these assert methods that you'll see in lots of other koans. The assert basically says, hey, the koan is stating that something ought to be true. And if it's not true, then it fails. Then the koan fails. So this next one is called assert null object. Okay, reference to the object can be null, a magic keyword. Oh, sorry, can be null, a magic keyword. Null, which means that there is nothing there. Okay, so assert null. What do you think we need to pass to assert null to make this method, make this koan pass? Yep, people are saying null. That is correct. There's a keyword called null. Now, in Java, what null means is it's a non-existent object. There's no object there. So, as we'll see, there are two types of data in Java. There are object types. These are things like strings or a linked list or a URL or a socket or whatever. And then there are what are called primitive types, which are what you learned about like in the beginning of like C or C++, where you can have they're numbers and they're sort of numeric type data things, where you can have integers of various sizes. You can have floating point doubles and booleans, like we saw, true and false. These have a these are of a type, and these have a specific type. So, for instance, when we go back to about koans, we had this boolean koan is complete. Koan is complete is a variable of type boolean. And we'll see lots of other examples later. Yeah. Yeah, question. Oh, it put a semicolon in front of the true false? A letter and a semicolon? Can I come look? Oh, okay, great. Okay, yes. So what she has, it's a feature that I've turned off because I find it kind of annoying. What is that called? Preferences. So, um, parameters. Let's see here. Substitute user parameters. Oh, it's probably some sort of hint or something like that. Yeah. Inlay hints. Parameter names. Oh, okay. And maybe here. Will that turn it on again? Yes. Okay, there it is. Yeah. Okay. So this is an IntelliJ feature that I've disabled. I think it's on by default these days. So here you've got an example of some code, and I'm calling a method called setName, and it takes an argument. And let's see here. What if I turn this off? Oh, good. There it is. Okay. So IntelliJ will put a little gray hint of the name of that parameter. And that's why I think you see the letter O. So I'll just turn this on temporarily. And, okay. Oh, actually, no. Okay. Now I have this little letter O here because the name of the parameter, so if I go and navigate, if I go to the declaration, yeah. This method, assert null, has a parameter of type object whose name is O. And so then when, come on, zoom down my face. There you go. Here, when I call that assert null, IntelliJ is prompting me to say, oh, the name of the variable you're passing, the name of the parameter that you are passing the value null to is named O. It's kind of nice when you're dealing with an unfamiliar API. I think it takes up too much screen real estate. That's why I turned it off. Great questions. I really appreciate the interactivity tonight. Thanks for asking questions. So I'm going to turn that back off again. Okay. Assert null object reference. Okay. Here we've got some more Java code. We say, okay, we have a variable called some object. Its type is object, and it's assigned under bar. So we need to change this under bar to something that is not null. So what would be an example of an object that is not null? New object. I like that. Yeah, new object. Oh, and again, IntelliJ is prompting me for things. So I typed in object, I'm going to hit tab. I'm a huge fan of tab complete. So I tend to use autocomplete all the time. As soon as I discovered it, like in Unix shells a million years ago, I'm like, this is the greatest thing because it saves me time. It means I don't remember all the details. So okay, I will. Oh, good. I will do that. Let's see here. Now it's saying assert null object reference method. So okay, let's look at the next one. Oh, wait a second. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a second. Okay, this is wrong. Sorry, this is some object. I'm going to revert that because yeah, it didn't pass after all. So I'm sorry. So this one I misread it. This is assert null object reference. So it is saying assert null. So this value should be null. Yeah. Right. So these are basically the same tests: assert null object, assert null object reference. But the whole idea here is that you're using a variable to sort of reinforce the point that a variable may have a null value. Okay, assert non-null object. Assert non-null object. I think this is where we use the new object. Yep, that's much happier now. Okay. Assert equals using expression. Is the next one. Okay. Ooh, look at that. Okay. So what's going on here? I've got an assert true, right? So assert true, as we learned up here, takes a Boolean value, either true or false. So a Boolean value or a Boolean expression in this case, right? So this right here evaluates something of type Boolean because we can pass it to assert true. Now, Java is strongly typed, meaning that the code will compile unless the compiler can verify that at compile time, the result of the expression that you pass to a method that takes, navigate to the declaration, right? Assert true, actually it says it takes something of type object, but what it really does is it then calls this assert equals, which has, oh, yes, even then that's objects. Okay, that's interesting. So it basically says assert true the results of this expression here. Now, what is this thing right here? This double quotes and then some letters and another double quotes? Yes, that is a string. Yep. Thanks. Okay. So a string in Java is an object. And as you'll learn about in, I think the language, yeah, it was in the lecture, or maybe you remember it, all objects have certain methods on them, including equals. So every object, you can call dot equals on any object. Here, we're invoking it on a string constant. Okay, probably legal syntax. So, okay, we have hello world, and we say dot equals to something else that will be true. So what is the something else here? Yeah, hello world. Okay. Hello world. Exclamation point. Oh, so 7 out of 269. Oh, I'm still at 7 out of 269. Why is that failing? Sorry? Oh, yeah, the W needs to be capitalized. Very good. Cool. Oh, and look at that. IntelliJ was like telling me something there. So, okay, let's explore this. So when the code looked like this whole expression was highlighted in yellow. I'm going to hover over it, and it's telling me something. It's like, oh, look at that. The result of hello world dot equals hello world is always false. Well, that's nice of IntelliJ. It's already giving me a clue that there's something kind of fishy about this code. So if actually I had paid better attention, I probably would have caught it sooner. And now, when I change it to like this, it's not complaining about the whole thing, but it is complaining about the dot equals. What is it saying? Oh, dot equals is called on itself. So IntelliJ is smart enough to know, it's IntelliJ, I guess, to tell you that you're probably doing something a little silly here, right? You're basically saying that a constant is equal to that same constant. Well, let's just make sure this passes. So I go from 7 until 8. That's cool. Now, for many of these, let's hover over it again. Now, it is not, so it gives you a nice little, oh, it says equals called on itself. And, okay, so it's showing the inspection description. I wonder, is it telling me that I can do anything with it? So there's this thing called context actions in IntelliJ, which basically gives you hints of like, here's what you can do to maybe fix some of these warnings. So I'm going to say that. It's going to say, okay, okay, it's telling you that this is, again, equals called on itself. And it's like, oh, you can say replace equals with equals equals. Or you can add the contract method equals methods, no. And you can roll back to change the current line, no. So I'm just curious what happens when I try to say replace equals with equals method with equals equals. And now it's saying these are the same. Is always true. Oh, look at that. It says simplify hello world equals equals hello world to true. So I can click on this. No, okay. Well, that's neat. But what's interesting about this is like if you're like writing code for realsies, you might want to do this, right? And this is IntelliJ bringing more visibility to what your code's doing. This is what I find so powerful about it because it's helping you make your code better, right? You kind of make you realize like, oh, I'm doing something that maybe seems a little silly. Now, these are the koans, and so then this is probably the way you want to leave it, right? Because you've learned the lesson about, hey, here's what the equals method means, and this is how it evaluates the truth. Okay, that one passed. We've got a couple more. Okay, assert equals with a few expressions. Okay, let's just go through these quickly. So, okay, assert equals takes two arguments. I think we saw it up here before. Oh no, this is the first time we've seen assert equals. Okay, so it takes two arguments, and those arguments should be equal. So, hello world equals what? Hello world, right? Okay. 1 equals 1. Okay. 2 plus 2 equals 4. My sentiments exactly. 2 times 3 equals x. 3 minus 8 equals minus 5. So that's the syntax for negative numbers in Java. And so slash is division, is integer division. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, great. We all got through 3rd grade math all right. Okay, great. We got that one done. Oh, here's another assertion method that you're learning about. Assert equals with descriptive message. So here we have assert equals. These assert equals took 2 parameters. There's also a version of assert equals that takes 3 parameters. The first parameter is a message that is printed with the error. So if we go and look at, well, actually, it's, oh, I guess, oh, there it is. What went wrong? The answer to life, universe, everything should be 42. I expected 42, but was replace me. And by the way, replace me is the value of underbar. Let's just tell you that. So, okay, when you have the descriptive message, so the answer to life, the universe, everything should be 42. So 42 should equal 42. Yep. Make sure that one's okay too. From 9 to 10. Okay, we've got a couple more. Look at this. Okay, assert same instance. Now, this integer is underlined in red. It's saying that the integer constructor is deprecated and marked for removal. That's true. This is a pretty old API. At some point, they're going to get rid of the integer constructor, but today is not that day. So good to know, IntelliJ, but everything compiles and runs, so it's all right. Let's take a look at what this code is doing. It has a variable of type capital I integer, and then it creates another variable called same, which equals original, and then it's got an integer called different, which is also new integer of 1. So let's see here. Now it has some assertions that presumably are passing because it's not an underbar. So it says that assert equals, that original and the same are equal, and that original and different are equal. Okay, so assert equals, so those are both equals. And that's what it says. These are both equal to the original. But only one refers to the same instance as the original. So which variable is the same instance as the original? Yeah, same. So I go from 10 to 11, right? Because if I say different, I go back from 11 to 10. So what this is teaching you about is the difference between using .equals to compare to objects in Java, and then the equals operator, which is essentially pointer equality. Do they reference the same object as opposed to two that are that have the same behavior, that are equal to each other? Because right, both of these, both this integer here and the integer object that is created here represent the number 1. And so that therefore they are equal, but they are not the same objects because one was instantiated here, another one was instantiated here. So let's get this one passing again. And then we have a very similar one right here. Cert not same instance. Same kind of test. We have an original and a same. Oh, note that IntelliJ is highlighting this in yellow. It's saying local variable same is redundant. That's true. I guess you don't really use it anywhere. We could just, this is offering me a suggestion. If I say context actions, ooh, inline it. I guess I could replace the same, I could replace uses of same with original, which is what it did. Here, let's move this back. Or I say this used to be same, now it's original. Yeah, I don't like that very much. Or at least that's, actually I would do that in real code, but these are the koans, so I'm just gonna undo that. Anyway, so original and same are equal, original different are equal, but assert not same is what? So what is not the same here? Well, different is not same, right? Again, it's a different instance of integer. So they're both, both the object created on line 77 here and the object created on line 79 are instances of integer that represent the number 1, but because they're different objects, they are not the same. Okay, we've gone from 11 to 12. Good deal. Okay, so we just completed another one. Now it's telling us to go into about equality. But for right now, I'm going to commit this code, and then it's time for a break. So I'm going to check this in. A question there. Let me check this in. And but there was an important question that came in. I assume all the cones will be done by the end of the term. You assume incorrectly. The cones need to be done by July 10th. July 10th is not the end of the term. So, and actually, this is something new for me. So it used to be on like the first day of class, I would assign project 1 and the cones and everything, and it's like it was always kind of a rough start to the term. So instead, here tonight, I'm just assigning the koans. We will learn about project 1 a week from tonight. But that means that please go home and start doing these. A couple every day, because there are a lot of them, right? We'll do some more once we get back from break. I mean, there are 269 of them. But as you can see, each one of them is pretty quick. But I have found this is a really great way to learn the language. A lot of my students have told me that being able to go through these things in small little pieces helps remind you about some of the language features, but then also helps introduce you to new things that you might not have seen before. Okay, I'm going to commit this, and let's take a break. Let's take a 12-minute break, come back at 7:25. Hey everybody, welcome back. Hey, we took some bonus time to do some troubleshooting. I'm really glad that we got to do that because this first week is all about getting you ready for the rest of the term and having your environment, your tools that you work with functioning, and that you understand how to do things will make just everything so much easier. So for those of you who are already ready, thanks for being patient. Maybe you've started going ahead in the cones. That is perfectly fine. So let's see here. Let's I'll just close the chat here. So when we last left our dashing cones, we had just finished off the about assertions, and now we're looking at about equality. So now I need to go to the about equality class. Now, as you may recall, I navigated to the other classes by using the project view. That's one way to do it. Maybe a faster way to do it is to use the navigate to class menu item here in IntelliJ, which has a keyboard shortcut on Mac as Command O. And here I can search for classes. I just type in the name of the class, which I believe is about equality. Yep, in the beginner section, and here I am in about equality. So let's take a look at equality in Java. So let's see here. This first one is double equals tests. Sorry. Double equals tests if two objects are the same. Oh yeah, we were talking about this a minute ago. So here I have a variable called object that refers to just some object, right? And I have another variable that is assigned to the value of that object. So would I expect that if I compare object and same object using the equals operator, would it be true or false? Flip a coin and decide. Let's give it a try. Let's see here what the audience thinks. True is what they're saying. Okay, let's give it a try. Let's put this down here. And yeah, true. So we'll put it in true. Oh, and then actually we can just figure that out. So now it was saying line 14. Oh yeah, now line 15 may offer a clue. Oh, and it looks like it even prompts you for the answer here. Okay, that's kind of nice. So now it's saying, hey, if I have object and does equals some different object. So that's going to be false. Right, so this is meant to teach you about the equality operator, equals. Right, so equals does a reference comparison. So an object is only ever equals to some other object when they are the same. An object is not equals to a different object. So this is a separate allocation in memory than this one. Now let's look at the equals method. So I have a new object here. Now, does that new object equal, if I invoke the equals method with that same object, what should it return, true or false? Koan probably tells you. Yep, expected true. So here, those two objects are the same. Sorry, those two objects are equal. But if I say, hey, does the object referred to by this variable, does it equal a brand newly allocated object? The answer will be false because they are. I think the answer is going to be false because this random object does not have the same properties as the other object. Let's find out. Yeah, now it's complaining about line 28. So again, the equals method makes what's called a semantic equality comparison as opposed to equals, which makes a reference comparison. If we were talking about C or C++, we'd say a pointer comparison as opposed to a, shoot, what is it called in C++? I guess if you like overloaded equals operator. Anyway, I forget now, it's been a long time. But instead of using like a method to compare it, it just says are the pointers the same, references the same. Okay, here's another one. Equals method can be changed by subclasses to test if two objects are equal. Here we have a very similar Koan to the other one. But instead of just dealing with just a plain old object, it's a specific type of object in an integer. Okay, so here we have a new integer 1, and is the object dot equals to itself? Yes, let's hope so. And so the answer here should be true. And is this object, this new integer 1, equals to another instance of new integer 1? I believe the answer is also yes. Oops. Yeah. So yes, I agree that the answer ought to be yes, because here the integer object, and I cover this in the lectures, the integer object overrides the equals method to be able to compare itself, an instance of integer, to another instance of integer. And we say, hey, do we represent the same number? Great, we do. Then we are equal. And this is a really important property of objects in Java that you'll learn about in a couple of weeks when you learn about the collections. Because when you collect objects together in like a linked list or a hash map or something like that, it's really important to say, hey, does this object represent the same piece of information as this other object? Okay. A question has come in. Why is line 29 true, but line 22 is false? Okay, line 29. is true, but 22 is false? Excellent question. And I think that really goes to the heart of what this Koan is trying to teach you. So um, object does not override equals. As a matter of fact, okay, I'll say this. The implementation of equals for Java lang object is the same as equals equals. As a matter of fact, if you go and look at the implementation, I think you can just drill into the source code here. Yeah. So here is the, this is actually, it's not decompiled, it is the source code for Java lang object, right? You can do this in IntelliJ. IntelliJ knows where the source code for the JDK is and will show it to you. So here we are in Java lang object, like the highest, most abstract object in all of Java, and it has an equals method. And all this equals method does is it compares this, the object on which the method is invoked, to the other object that has come in and say, hey, do we represent the same object? So an instance of Java lang object will only ever be equal to itself. And that's what this is saying here. So, right, object equals object is true. This object here will never equal any other object, because its implementation of the equals method uses equals equals. Integers, on the other hand, do override the equals method. I think I'll have to open that up. I'll need to say integer. And here, navigate to method, to file structure. How do I navigate to method? Navigate in file. Come on. Wait, what is it in? Nope, not terminal. Okay, so it is. Okay, so it is. Oops. If I say, where was it? File structure. Yeah, I can. This will then show me all the methods in here, and I can type the word equals. Oops, I can type it correctly. And now I can easily navigate to the equals method. And okay, look at this. So here is the implementation of the equals method in the integer class. Now equals says, hey, am I equal to some other object? And what does it do? It says, okay, well, if that other object is an instance of integer, then say, hey, does my value return whether or not my value is the same, and value here is an integer, is an int, the value represented by this integer. Is it the same as, well, you take the other object, you cast it to an integer, and then you invoke the int value method on it to get its value? Are those the same? Otherwise, if the other object is not an instance of an integer, if I try to say, hey, is an integer equal to a string, it'll never be equal to a string, and it'll return false. So the reason that line 22, when you compare two plain old Java lang objects, while that's false, and when you compare two Java lang integers that both represent the number 1, the reason that comparison is true, that equals, it returns true, is because the integer class provides its own implementation of the equals method that knows how to compare itself to another integer. And this is what equals is all about. Equals is all about making a semantic comparison between two objects as opposed to an identity comparison between two objects. I'm really glad you asked that question. Did my answer make sense? Yeah? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Oh yeah, and did that pass? I think it did. Yeah, equals method can be changed by subclasses to test if two objects are the same. Oh yeah, okay, here we go again. Something very similar. Here we have an integer that represents 4, and an integer that represents 2 plus 2. Are those equal? Yes. Okay. What does value 1 equal? So this is invoking the equals method. So it's just saying, hey, what two objects are equal? Value 1 and value 2 are equal. All right, so now that one should pass. Yeah. Here's another kind of fun thing you can do. You can also say this equals 4. pretty sure that's going to pass also. Yep, that one passed. I think the intent here, though, is that the answer that they were looking for is value 2. Okie dokie. Objects never equal null. So if I have a new object and I compare it to null, what's the answer going to be? True or false? Yeah, survey says false. Yep, going on to the next one. And then objects equal themselves. Oh yeah, right. So I've got a Java lang object, a symboled object. Does it equal itself? It better, darn it. Let's find out. Nice, it does. Okay. So this is what koans are all about. They're all these little pieces parts. And I got to admit, the first couple ones are kind of dull, right? Because, oh, yeah, I know what equals is. I've written programs before. But they get more interesting, and maybe they'll get more interesting now because we're talking about strings. Okay, oops. So then let's go and now let's navigate to the about strings. Koan. Oh, look at this. Okay, implicit strings. Okay, assert equal. So I have a string constant right here, just a plain old string, and I call the get class method. Wow. Okay, it's kind of crazy for like the whatever the 12th koan that you've done. It is saying expected class of Java lang string, but was replace me. I'm really glad that we got this one together. Does anybody know what the answer might be? What? Yes, it's totally a string.class. How did you know that? Okay, nice, very nice. Maybe I think someone from the audience might have, or someone at home might have gotten it too. I think yeah, string.class, exactly. Okay, so this is a super this is one of the more advanced concepts in Java. I'll speak to here briefly. Anyway, every object has a get class method that returns another object that represents its class. Ugh, okay, right? So take a drink every time I say the word class in the next paragraph. So, right, and so then you call get class, and it's like, hey, the class of this object is string.class. And it's the same way if I said assert equals new integer 1.getClass, this would equal to integer.class. Right? We're at 19, we should still be at 19 because it passed. Yes. So every object has the ability to get another object that represents its class. And, random question. Hey, just curious, are we allowed to use notes or anything like that during the quizzes exams? No. I went into more detail about this last week when I was talking about the syllabus, but the classes and the exams, well, okay, the quizzes are closed book, closed notes, just what's ever in your head. The exam will be open book, open notes, no electronic devices, though. Anyway, but we'll talk more about the final exam later. Yep, cool. The whole idea here is, and we'll move on shortly, that every object has the ability to get another object that represents its class. And actually, get class is pretty cool. Sorry, I'll try to resist the urge to go into too much details. We actually used to cover this in a lecture in the course. It's something called Java Reflection. And when the course is more about like cool things you do with Java, sure, I used to do, I did that. Now that we're more interested in just general programming techniques and writing good code, it's not so relevant anymore. But it reminds me, in the penultimate class in session 15, right before the final exam, I don't have a topic. So if you want to learn about reflection, I'd be more than happy to cover it. Sorry, now I'm all over the place. Anyway, get class. New string. Okay. How is this failing? Let's see here. Line 25 may offer a clue. Okay. So here we are. We create a string. We have it empty. And does a new string equal the empty string? What do you think? Yeah, audience says yes. Okay, let's give it a try. So true. Yep, it does. Good to know. New string is redundant. Okay, so then string instance is 0. I make a new string from another string. And are those two strings equal? Yeah, I think those two strings are equal. 20 to 21. Let's see here. New string is not identical. Oh, okay, this is a good lesson. So here I have an instance of string. I create another string from that. And are they the same? Are they equal? No. Good. I think we learned that lesson a couple koans ago, where it's like, hey, I have two instances. I have two different objects. They are not equal. 21, 22. Okay. String is empty. Oh, right. There is a method on string called isEmpty, whether or not it's the empty string. So, is the empty string empty? Yes. Okay. Is the string 1 empty? No. Is a, oops, sorry. How do they even do that? Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't realize that keyboard shortcut existed. If I create a new string and don't give it any arguments, is it empty? Yeah. Is a new string from the empty string empty? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And is a new string of 1 empty? I'm going to say false. Let's see if I got it right. It went from 22 to 23. Nice. Okay. String length. Okay, so the string method also has a length. The string class also has a length method. So what's the length of the empty string? It's going to be a number. So how many characters are there in the empty string? -7. No, sorry. 0. Thank you. What's the length of the string 1? 3. Awesome. What's the length of the string the number is 1? 17? Oh, wow, you guys can count really well. Okay. 17. Let's see if we got it right. String length from 23 to 24. Nice. Yes, or, yeah. Okay, Sam just pointed out, it's like, well, wait a second. I could just do, let's copy and paste the stuff. Actually, no, Zoom, I can't copy and paste. I could just say, this equals this. My Koan will still pass. It'll still be right. When I grade it, I'll never know. But you didn't really, right? But it's not the lesson here, right? So yeah, the lesson is you count how many things there are here. But I think Sam brings up a good point about, yeah, some of these are kind of boneheaded, and yeah, you can have like a tautology, college word, right there by just having the same thing on the left and the right. But the intent here is that you're supposed to figure out, do you really understand what length is all about? Because yeah, I suppose really any of these equals things, we could just like copy and paste the expression on the left and the expression on the right. The goal is not to get through these in the maximum amount of time. Well, I mean, of course, yes, it is. There's a deadline, right? But it's not as quickly as it's humanly possible. It's as quickly as you can to learn the language so that then you can start applying it in the later projects. Okay, trim. Now, the trim method of the string removes all of the white space at the beginning, at all the trailing and leading white space. in a string. So I trim the empty string, what am I going to get? Yeah, the empty string right back. Oh, oops. Not like that, I'm not. I'm going to use this. Okay. Oh yeah, and here's an example that's already done. So when I trim the string 1, I get 1. And when I trim the string one more time with a leading space, what am I going to get when it's trimmed? Yeah, one more time without leading space, no trailing space. One more time with leading and trailing spaces. Yeah, right. The same thing again. Ooh, and again with a backslash t. You know what backslash t means? A tab, right? So what do you think is going to be right here? What's the string this is going to equal? Yeah, and the leading space. So and again. Oops. And then here we've got leading and trailing tabs. Should be like that, right? So the whole idea is the trim gets rid of the leading and trailing spaces. Go from 24 to 25. Okay, string concatenation. So right, concatenate means to put multiple strings together. So we have 3 string variables, 1, space, and 2. And when we concatenate them all together, what do we get? The string 1 space, oops, 1 space. No, come on, Dave. 1, 2, like that, right? With a space in between them, okay. Space 1, 2. Yeah, space 1, 2. And then 2 space 1, you can guess 2 space 1. Let's see if we get that right. Go from 25 to 26. Okay. Oh, 2 uppercase. Okay. Well, what do you think 2 uppercase does? Two uppercase. Well, makes all the text. Yep, there you go. Makes all the text uppercase. So I get I am a number 1. There is no uppercase for exclamation point. No, there is. Go from 26, 27. String to lowercase. Makes them all lowercase. So I am a number 1. Nice. 28. Compare to. Okay. So the compare to method, we'll learn. This is covered in a lecture that you'll watch in a couple of weeks. The whole idea is that you've got 2 objects that are ordered with respect to each other. Think about numbers, right? We saw that there was that integer class. So if you have a integer that represents the number 2 and another integer that represents the number 3, you can compare them against each other. Say which one is logically first, which one is logically last. If you look at the compare to method, what it does, let's see here, this is kind of long, isn't it? Yeah, oh, that's interesting. You can borrow from string. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Compare to. Yeah, so it compares 2 strings lissographically, so alphabetical order essentially. So it compares 1 string to another string and returns an int value. And it's kind of hard to read here. It returns an int value, which indicates, let's see here, if this object is before the other object, it's a negative number. If they are the same, if they are equals, then it returns 0. But if the other object is after this object, then it returns a positive number. Or maybe it's the other way around. I can't remember. Maybe the Koan will tell me. But, so if we say, hey, I've got a string called I am number 1, I am a number 1, And we were going to say, hey, if I compare it to this other string, I am a number 1, does that comparison equal 0? Which means, are those equal strings? So is the string I am a number 1 equal to I am a number 1? Yeah. Now how about this other string? This I am a number 1 that has slightly different case. No, it's not. Yep. And same thing for slightly different case over here. So this is, again, this is a string comparison, but it's actually semantically equivalent to equal when you compare, what compared to have returning a value of 0 is meant to be semantically the same as the dot equals method. Okay. And similarly, oh yeah, there's compare to ignore case. Okay. And so let's see here. When you compare these two strings, ignoring case, let's see here. What do you think this one is? If you compare them and ignore case, are they the same? Are they equal? Yeah, they are. And I'm pretty sure the answer is true for all of these. Because again, they only differ, the strings only differ when it comes to their case. 29, 30. Nice. Okay, starts with. It's another method of string. So here we go. You know, we are what this Koan is all about is taking a tour of the string class and looking at all of its methods, like to uppercase and compare to, and now starts with. Okay, so does the empty string start with the string 1? No, it doesn't. Does the string 1 start with the string 1? Yeah, it does. Does the string 1 is the number start with the string 1? Yes. And does the string 1 is the number start with 1? No, yeah, I don't think so either. 30, 31, yay. Okay. Ends with, well, we can probably figure out this one pretty easily. Does the, oh, we got a question. These method names are surprisingly intuitive. Good. Okay. I'm glad you think so. You know, this is one of the things that you aim for in software development is to have code that is approachable, right? So that when you, okay, good. I'm glad this is clicking for all of you, right? And that's kind of, again, that's why you work these bite-sized chunks with the Koans. And I know it might seem a little tedious, but it's like, what I've really found is that this helps you just get used to seeing Java in small little pieces. Because then when you start writing your projects, and all of a sudden you get looking at more code, where you start looking at some of my code, and it's like, oh, there's a lot of stuff there. Because you understand the pieces parts pretty well, they all come together pretty easily. So, kind of again, does the empty string end with 1? No. Does 1 end with 1? Yes. The number 1, does it end with 1? Oops. Jeez. How did does the number, let's see, the number is 1, does it end with 1? Yes. Number is 2, does it end with 1? No. The number 1 ends with 1? No. 32. Okay. No more answers to go. More than I would like, but okay. We'll keep going. We'll do this one and then call it a night. So let's see here. Oh, substring. Okay, cool. So what substring does is it returns, actually what I can do here, show context action, no, what? There is a way, oh, there it was. I just hovered over it. And here it is substring. Okay, yeah. So if you hover over, actually if you hover over any method, yeah, it'll pop up this little description of what that method is. So this is returns a string as a substring of this string. The substring begins with a character of the specified index and extends to the end of this string. So example, unhappy, substring 2 returns happy. So strings are 0-based in Java. So substring of 2 until the end is character 0, 1, 2, all the way until the end. So substring of 2 unhappy is return happy. Okay. Harbison, substring 3 is bison. Emptiness, substring 9 returns empty string because emptiness is a 9-character string. Okay. Cool. Okay then. So given that, substring 0 of this string equals what? I. Okay. Let's give that a try. And actually, let's see if that worked. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, it actually is telling me something. Okay, it expected I am number 1, but was I. Oh, okay, so I guess I wasn't correct. Instead, it was expecting I am number 1. Okay. Look at that. Resist the urge to look at the answer because it'll tell it to you. I should really change the Koan so that you have to get it wrong a couple of times. But maybe an exercise for another day. Let's try it again. So okay, the substring starting at index 1 of I am a number 1. What is that string? Okay, am number 1 with a space in front of it. Is that what folks at home were saying too? Yes. M number 1. Hulk smash. Okay, substring 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And number 1. I think it's this. Is that right? Line 129 has a problem. Okay, here it is. Substring 14 through 17. Oh my goodness. I don't know. 1. Oh, okay, that's good to know. Cool. Oh, this is kind of a cool one. Check this out. Okay, so let's see here. Substring from 7 until string.length. So string.length is the length of the string, which is also, let's see here, the length of the string is beyond the index of beyond the last character. So, okay, starting from 7, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So is it umber 1? What are people at home saying? Oh, length is last index because index is 0. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Okay, so then, yeah, what was that? Umber 1? Oh my god, I'm wrong. 32. Nope, 32. Oh, it does have the N. I must have just copied it wrong. Sweet. Okay. So that's substring and length. Oh, contains. So this says, whether or not one string contains another string. I'll hover over it to get some pop-up help here. Yep, returns true if and only if the string contains a specified sequence of character values. So let's see here. Does stir contain 1? Lowercase. Yeah, I think it's false. And, yep. Does it contain 1 in all uppercase? Yeah, it does. Oops. Awesome. Okay. Okay, well, I think you're starting to get the gist of what the koans are all about. You have this series of little methods where you're focusing on a particular aspect of the Java language or the API, and you're exploring what these methods do, what these values are all about. And this is the best way I've found to get a practical introduction to working with the Java programming language. Work in little small pieces, you'll develop an understanding for some of these APIs. I think as you start to see tonight, things start to become very intuitive after a while because things are consistent. You're getting used to the syntax. You're getting used to the camel case nature of everything. So then, we've done, what, 34 tonight out of 269? And a lot of them are like this. So I encourage you to, if you haven't been playing along at home, go through and catch up. You don't have a tremendous amount of time to do all of these, although it's funny, I asked Ben, or I told Ben last night, I was like, yeah, we're starting off with Koans. we're getting 2 weeks to do it. He's like, oh yeah, it shouldn't be any problem at all. He said that, yeah, there's a lot of them, but they really aren't that hard because a lot of them are pretty small. So I encourage you to play around with them. And like I said, a great way to learn the language, and it's a good way to sort of get off the ground. Any questions about the Koans? Nope. Okay, then let's give a. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Line which one? Sorry. Oh yeah, insufficient arguments to string format causes an error. Yep. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Right. Was it the get class one that was confusing or the message one that was confusing? Both? Okay. Okay, wow, this is great. Yeah, and this is okay, so let's here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna commit what we have and then I'm gonna break some stuff. So then did some more coins. So the question is about the insufficient arguments to string format causes an error. So I'm just going to comment out a bunch of these, everything that, let's see here, I haven't done yet, just so that that becomes the next one. Yeah, thanks for asking about that one. Okay. So now we're here. Oh, it's like, okay, great. So line 168. I expected the class for missing format argument exception, but was replaced me. Okay, so here on line 168. Oops, here on line 168. That. So e.getClass. So getClass we saw up at the very top. GetClass is a method that returns like this string.class. So because the type of this object right here is a string, its class is string.class. It's the same way that because the type of this object right here is an integer, its class is integer.class. So this is talking about exceptions, and yeah, you haven't seen exceptions yet in the koans, but an exception happens when something bad occurs. So here we are formatting a string that has 3 elements to it. It is formatting 3 other objects into a string. I don't know if you ever worked with string formatting before. Maybe you haven't. It expects 3 things, but there's only 2 that are passed in. And I guess you just need to learn about the format class or the format method and what it's all about. So when you don't have enough of them, then there is an exception that's thrown, and the type of exception is missing format argument exception. There we go. And let's see here. I will do show context actions, and I'll say import class. So the whole idea is that exception is an object that represents something that has gone wrong, and you can catch exceptions, and you can do stuff to them. You can interrogate them. You can handle. You can get information about them. So the class of that object is this missing format exception, and then the message is every exception has a message that describes what it's all about, and apparently it is format specifier %s. Oh, that's interesting. All right. That's what that is. Oh, and is that going to work? Yeah, I guess that'll work. Yeah. Okay. That's the answer. This was kind of, I got a bit advanced for the strings. But yeah, I think it was trying to teach you is when you get an exception object, it has a certain type. So in this case, a missing format argument exception, and perhaps the API documentation, it says, oh, that's interesting. It says throws illegal format exception. Is a missing format exception a type of illegal format? Oh, it is a type of, it says extends an illegal format exception. So it's a type of illegal format exception. And then the message is format specifier. I don't think this is something you're supposed to know beforehand. That's okay, right? But again, this is seeing what the type of what the information is there in the exception. Cool. I don't want to check this in, so I'm going to revert this change like that. Roll back. I can call it roll back and not revert. And there's back to normal. Cool. Thanks for asking that question. So let's end it there. So again, this is the first project, the Koans. Oh, when I'll talk about submitting next time. There's basically actually no. Let me just do it real quick right now. If you quit here, uh, yeah, sorry, this is an important footnote, so just bear with me with one more moment. To submit, actually, there are details about submitting in the README. How do I submit my projects? You can read over all of this. Let me just post this in the chat too. But the way that you submit the projects is that you run the submit script and you give it the name of the project. We need to do this from the CS machines. So I'm going to log back into the CS machines again. So what you want to do is then go to your checkout. You want to do a git pull to get all your latest changes. Let's say I want to submit the Koans project, which of course I don't right now because it's not done, but if I did, I would say submit.sh, and then the name, actually I think if you, yeah, you need a project name, in this case it's Koans. And what it'll do is it will go off and find the code. It'll build the code just to make sure everything builds. Because if it doesn't build, you can decide whether or not you want to submit it or not. Let's see here, it goes and runs all the Koans and it tells you, there's a lot of text that goes by, but it tells you that, oh yeah, you only did 34 out of 269 of them. That's fine. And then it's going to tell you that here's all the files that are being submitted. And there's a whole bunch of detail here about what is and is not submitted. And then it's going to ask you how many, you know, I really want to cover this in more detail next time because class is over. But it'll tell you how many, it'll ask you how many hours you spent on the project. We spent what, like 2? And then it will ask if I want to continue with submission, and what it will do then is zip up all of the source code and send it to me so that I can grade it. Do not want oh, and even tag the repository. Well, that was neat. But yeah, we'll cover this more in detail next time, or actually maybe, you know, let's all save this for. Let's save this for, yeah, for week 4 because the Koans are due. Sorry, session 4. Yeah, let's cover this all next Wednesday. And you've got time because the Koans aren't due until the Wednesday after that. So you got time. Sorry, didn't mean to rush that. I don't want to rush it. But speaking of next time is, let's see here, on Monday we'll reconvene, and we'll start in with test-driven development. So just the same way that we saw tonight, there are these like little chunks of code. Test-driven development actually looks a lot like the Koans, where you write a little piece of code, you watch it fail, you make it pass, and then you improve the code by refactoring. So we'll dive into that next time. And sorry, one more thing. Am I correct in thinking that Thursday, July 4th is a holiday at the university, so you don't have classes on Thursday? Right? Okay, good. Glad they don't make you work on Independence Day. Does anybody object to having an all-remote class on Wednesday, July 3rd? No objections? I'm going to ask mainly the people who are here tonight. Okay, cool. So let's not plan. So we will still meet, but we will only meet. I will not be here in the classroom. You do not need to come to the classroom. It's the day before a holiday, right? Let's, you know, start drinking early after class or before. So then we will not meet in class on the 3rd. And this is to accommodate anybody who is either going out of town or just doesn't want to have to commute back before a holiday. Great. I will also post that on, I don't know, on Slack or on Canvas. I'm sure, though, the word will spread otherwise. Thank you all very much for your time tonight. Hope you enjoyed learning about Koans. Let me know how it goes. Please, feel free to ping me, either direct message me on Slack or post something in the class chat, in the class channel, about what you find, how you find it. Have a great evening, everybody. I will see you next Monday. Thanks for joining in, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Hey, David,
Yeah.
could you